Being $500,000 in the hole year 2 is actually amazing.
Is it though, Anisa? Because being $500,000 in the hole for Creator Clash 2 doesn't seem too good whatsoever. But ladies and gentlemen, salome your viewers, welcome back to a brand new YouTube video. I hope you've had a good day because I certainly have. And in today's video, we're going to be covering iDubbbz's 6.5 hour live stream. I have painstakingly gone through this 6.5 hours worth of footage to pull the best clips, the most exciting things to relate to you, the viewers, for today's video. But before we get into that, if you haven't already, please consider leave like, subscribing, and hit the notification bell. It really helps with the channel, especially if you do enjoy the content. But without further ado, let's dive into this extremely long, boring live stream. It's only boring if I played the full 6.5 hours of live stream footage, but luckily for you, I'm not doing that.
Being $500,000 in the hole year 2 is actually amazing. Year 1, we were $1 million in the hole before the event, and that's normal.
Don't let Anisa or iDubbbz gaslight you here. Being over $500,000 in the hole before the event, a few weeks out before the event, is not a normal thing. Being somewhat in the red before the event is an entirely normal thing, an entirely normal process, but $500,000 in the red several weeks before the event, no, that's not normal whatsoever.
Because production, broadcasting, renting the arena, paying fighter purses, all of these things cost money. Second year, we were actually less in the hole because we had, I think it was a clothing brand.
Something you've got to remember when we're talking about this event being $500,000 in the hole several weeks before the event itself is the fact that not all of that is just a cost for the event. It's stuff like flying people out there, paying for comedians, paying for the after party and stuff like that. That's what contributed to that $500,000 giant red hole. Very excitedly, yes, that is something that does come up later.
That gave us money forward so they could be...
Moment House or one of these?
Yeah, Moment House gave us... We were actually doing better, but it's very normal when you're putting on live events to be in the hole for all of the money because or a lot of the money because you're essentially waiting for the last 24 hours for the pay-per-view sales and everything. All the sales come in 48 to 24 hours, so... Nobody needed to know that we were in the hole. It's normal business.
Now, what Anisa meant here was like clarified by iDubbbz. Apparently, what she's talking about is the fact that lots of people buy pay-per-views and like tickets a few hours or 24 hours before the event itself. I mean, ultimately, regardless of this, if this is the case or not, a few weeks out from the event, you'd have some type of inclination how many people are actually interested in your event, how many people are going to your event. You'd have some type of knowledge and inclination about that. And by that point, you'd understand and you'd know if you'd be able to recoup that money or not. Just for full context and transparency so it can't be weaponized, what I'm trying to do with this live stream is look at the clips as they kind of played out throughout the live stream. I will be jumping around just a little bit, but yeah, that's the plan going forward.
Like, it's tough. I'll give you the stinky. The stinky is okay, because honestly, I was a little stinky.
Why would you publicly admit that? You stinking like crap is something that literally can't be proven unless lots and lots of people come out and say this guy absolutely reeks, by the way. Ultimately, even then, you don't have to deny or confirm these smelly allegations. Why are you doing this to yourself?
When I was training for boxing, I'm not gonna fight it. You know, body odor is a thing, and I didn't always, in between going to the first boxing session at the start of the day and the next boxing session at around like 4 or 5 o'clock, I didn't always get to the shower.
iDubbbz literally could have said anything else in this moment or literally nothing in this moment and he would have been completely fine. Why did he make it worse for himself? What do you mean you couldn't make it to the showers? Why is this something you're actively responding to and making it worse for yourself?
Came to Creator Clash. We had a hotel for them to stay in because that was the whole fucking... That was the... What would you describe that as? The marketing strategy, which is, yes, if we get these creators to come, we can get them to tweet and talk about it and generate buzz. Didn't happen the way we wanted it to.
I'm here to tell you right now that this would have never worked regardless, even if a lot of these creators that got invited out there did make tweets and promoted your event. Ultimately, there isn't an actual incentive for their audience to buy or actually be interested in Creator Clash when the people that are promoting your event aren't actually fighting on the card.
The people they flew in was Froggy Tonic, and they flew him in from France.
That's insane.
And
Yeah, and by the way, I'm the one paying Froggy Tonic out of my fucking pocket.
So here, iDubbbz has confirmed that Froggy Tonic did get flown out from France. Why? Why was this necessary whatsoever?
Like, a lot of this shit was also just out of our hands. Anisa and I didn't do the budget We didn't do any of this shit. We were like, you know, we didn't. I think if we were in charge of the budget, it would have looked a lot differently. But what are you going to do?
What do you mean, what are you going to do? Maybe you should have planned it better. Maybe you should have actually checked on the people that were doing the budget and making sure that your event was going to plan and that you weren't horrifically overspending if this is the case. Like how it's someone else's fault, right? That we have no idea who did the budget and it's just their fault. It's not Anisa or iDubbbz's fault. Of course it's not. They're going to just deflect. They're going to put the blame on these other people. They can't take accountability. Of course it's somebody else's fault.
Do happen in the last 24 hours. It's like fucking 90% of the sales. Like, it's a ridiculous amount. And so, like, knowing how many people, like, you're kind of in the dark for how many people are going to buy until the day it happens.
So I do not buy for a second that it's a figure as high as 90%, but regardless, several weeks before the event, even a month before the event, you can tell from online interest what possibly could be the ticket sales on that day. You would have an inclination of how well your event is going to do beforehand. Again, it's this whole narrative of, look, we knew nothing, it's not our fault, we had absolutely no idea. It's just shifting the blame around.
Like, it's obviously cool to see people pre-buying tickets and stuff, but that doesn't really fucking happen. Like, it's a very minuscule amount, and you can't really count on it to be the like evidence that things are going to be okay. So oftentimes you do have to see how it performs after the fact and be like, oh shit, we should have done things differently.
Again, you would have such an inclination several weeks before the event if it was going to do well or not. People talking about the event, the hype surrounding it, people buying those tickets at that point in time, regardless if iDubbbz said that, you know, it's such a small percent you can't even tell. You would be able to definitely tell if there was hype around this event and if you could expect your money to be recouped.
Who I was making the content cop on. It was just like the trailer, and he was like, oh yeah, hell yeah, this is cool. So you need to show them. I mean, I fucking blocked him. I can if I need to.
This was a claim that iDubbbz made towards the beginning of the stream as well, and ultimately, whilst iDubbbz is saying that, you know, I do have these DMs, I have the proof, and I can show it if I need to, he never did in this stream. It'd be such a slam dunk to just prove this point and go, look, this was what he was saying before the content was revealed to be on the Ethan Klein. Ultimately, just prove your simplistic point here. It's not hard. If you have the DMs, why wouldn't you show them?
He was crying.
We had to have a meeting. How ridiculous is that? Men aren't supposed to have emotions, especially not sad emotions. It should only be anger. Emotions should only be anger with men.
I mean, ultimately, this is just a disingenuous view of what iDubbbz's former coach was saying, what he was trying to do here, because ultimately, what he was trying to do here is pretty simplistic, which is just take the piss out of iDubbbz for literally anything.
Crying at the gym afterwards, and I said, and
He's framing this in such a way. I was able to keep it together in the gym. I was actually crying not outside the gym, in the car, away from the gym.
Guys, this guy's such a liar. I did cry, just not inside the gym. I did it in my car in the car park.
I was like, oh, okay, now that I'm away from people, I'll let it rip. But I guess it's more embarrassing if he says that I was crying in the gym. I couldn't even keep it together in the gym. No, I realize that it's a fucking environment of people not wanting to cry. Like, I get it. I'll take my crying to my car.
iDubbbz's framing here just makes him look 10 times worse, and it kind of gives off this perception again of this eternal victim complex from him.
Anisa and I were talking, and we came to the conclusion, like, yeah, man, like, that was some rough stuff. I clearly have some, like, past trauma that I'm dealing with, and so we need to, like, figure out, you know, like, what went wrong in this sparring session, and, like, how do we get past it? Because we don't want that to happen in the fight.
Ultimately, all jokes aside, I can understand iDubbbz's view here if what he's saying is to be believed. Because ultimately, yeah, if you have got these unresolved issues and you are freezing up in your sparring, in your training, whatever it may be, and this is an issue, you don't want to have that happen on fight day, on your own event, on your own card, when you're actually fighting your opponent. You don't want to freeze whatsoever, so I can kind of understand that concern if this is actually the case.
this whole event, and it lost $250,000.
No, you guys are so... That is interesting. It losing money is interesting. Like, if you get your brain out of weird, creepy, like... like parasocial obsession. Like, I'm trying to figure out why these moves are being made. It's just as simple as it's shit. Like, the whole thing's shit. Like, it's not a good documentary. It losing money makes the entire narrative a lot more interesting.
Silver lining is here, hey folks. It might have not made any money for charity whatsoever, but it's interesting, right? It makes for a great narrative. It makes for a great piece of a documentary, right? Then does follow up by saying not interesting enough, but I just find it weird that you would phrase it as interesting, because it's not really interesting, more embarrassing. Unlike a giant catastrophic failure on your and Anisa's part.
There's this comedian that was allegedly paid $20,000 or something.
Yeah. So for the first event, we were a part of like a lot of.
By the way, like anything that can be interpreted as wasteful spending, like paying a comedian or anything like that, like, to be honest, like, again, that's one of the costs that wouldn't have mattered at the end of the day. We still wouldn't have raised money for charity.
I'm sorry, that's insane. For one, iDubbbz seemingly there confirms that yes, they did spend $20,000 on a comedian, which is mental. And secondly, then iDubbbz follows up by saying, you know, that cost is something that realistically wouldn't have mattered anyways, because no money would have gone to charity. We wouldn't have made enough money for that to happen in the first place. But surely by cutting down that cost, by cutting down these meaningless costs, you'd be closer to your goal regardless. Why would you even bother spending $20,000 on a comedian? It just seems wasteful, even regardless if any money did go to charity or not. I just do not get the thought process whatsoever. It's just an insane amount of unnecessary spending in the midst of this event, something that is just completely unneeded.
Based on how expensive the event was in general. Like, even if you cut back a lot of these things, it wouldn't have made a difference. But I will say, for whatever it's worth, Anisa and I weren't doing the budgeting.
Again, huge deflection trying to shift the blame, but regardless if you and Anisa were doing the budgeting or not, this is still a huge fuck up and just a completely unnecessary cost for something that means nothing at the end of the day. Regardless, even if it would have changed the impact on the charities or not, it's just a useless, unnecessary cost.
I was tired. I was very tired. Everyone who was there can attest to that. But there was this moment where Anisa very casually said, like, have you always shit yourself or shit your pants or whatever? I think we shit your pants.
Someone just needs to tell him to stop. Stop reacting. Stop talking. Why are you doing this to yourself?
Have you always been shitting your pants? I think that's what it was. And, like, it didn't even register to me as, like, something I should be ashamed or embarrassed about. Like, you could see my face. I basically just go, like, what? Well, I guess I don't even think I have a reaction. Yeah, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I have zero reaction. I just go, no. Like, I was, like, super casual. But I knew what Anisa meant when she said that, which is why I was very casual about it. Is she just says, like, shit your pants as in, like, you know, you need to take a shit.
Wait, hold on a second. Shitting your pants means taking a shit? My god, thank you for explaining that to me, iDubbbz. I wouldn't have got it without you.
I don't think it was, like, obviously the internet likes it because it makes me look like I shit my pants, but I'm not going to argue whether or not I shit my pants on here.
See, that's the line. Admitting to smelling like shit? No, that's completely acceptable. Admitting to all this other embarrassing stuff? No, that's completely fine. But he won't go that far. At least we know he has some standards.
Back in the afternoon to train. He doesn't shower in between his sessions. And so, like, the coaches that are training other, you know, members there would just, like, look at us with the weirdest face.
Man. I had no idea. Wait a minute. People's eyelashes were, like, falling off in the gym.
He's coping and making all these jokes, acting like he actively didn't admit to smelling bad at this time.
I mean, again, we're not here to dispute the stinky allegations. I'll just move past the stinky. Like, you know, everyone has different tolerance for what is stinky to them.
Pure and unfiltered cope right there.
It's something that we want to keep our distance from. Like, it's fucked up. And, you know, if we're not making money or, like, you know, if we're trying to put on this charity boxing event, like, we don't want to sully it by that association.
He's talking about the H3 association there, but he will happily drop a content cob on him, which ultimately sullied Creator Clash 3, so great stuff there.
He messaged me about this child marriage thing, and this was after Creator Clash 2, And it was, very importantly, right after Michael Briggs requested that I be his guarantor on a loan to open like a boxing gym.
So basically, long story short, because iDubbbz kind of waffles here, yeah, he was outraged by this, he was offended by this. So then when his former coach's partner messaged him about the whole child marriage thing, this was his kind of thought process.
Oh, you literally aren't even acknowledging that I lost a tremendous amount of money on this event. Fuck you. I didn't say that, but I was short with him. I said, like, in no world would I ever be able to do that, because I wanted to express, like, very clear boundaries. And I did. And I don't know how long later it was. I wasn't done being angry about it for sure. But Kate did message me about, like, a child marriage bill thing. And I didn't pass it along to Anisa. I looked at it and I closed it.
Look at that empathetic iDubbbz, you know, that guy that puts himself crying in a video because he's so empathetic. He's such an empathetic guy, guys. I know people get clouded by annoyance or anger or whatever, but as soon as you open a message and see what it's about, and you see that it is that topic, something incredibly serious and something like that, surely you would give it the time of day, right? You would just take a look at it at least, not just, you know, close it down.
So was I being, like, you know, negligent to that relationship? Sure. But no, Anisa and I don't support child marriage or whatever fucking crazy story that they're spinning. I was just angry at them, and I was like, you know, fuck you guys. I'm not going to be boxing anytime soon. And, yeah, I'm done with this shit. But at least for the child marriage thing, like, they didn't message Anisa about that shit. That was definitely a me thing. Me being, like, just kind of angry and uncaring about it.
Again, iDubbbz is the most empathetic YouTuber that you could possibly ever meet, very clearly. I think that's where I'm going to end the video for today. I suffered through over 6 hours of iDubbbz streams, so the least that all of you can do that are currently watching, and if you are still watching, is to subscribe, leave a like, and comment down below your thoughts. But I have been your host, Samuel, you've been watching Slop Meal, and I will catch you in the next Slopic. Goodbye.